Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting. We're very glad you're with us today. Memorial Day weekend. It's May 27th, 2022. Our agenda this morning, we will start out with success stories. I do know of one landing this week. Maybe that's why Walt brought the donuts. We'll then get to our 30-second introductions. We'll have everybody put their 30-second introductions into the chat window. Then hear from our committee reports. We'll talk about workshops, job fairs, the practice interview team, the interview success workshop, and the career tip of the week. And then we will have our main event. Don will be with us in just a little bit around 10 o'clock to do his presentation. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation or today, please just open up the Zoom chat window. Please enter your information there. For those watching on Facebook, good morning. Just enter any of your questions in the comment field. We are monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. You're welcome to go ahead and start putting your networking information in there if you'd like. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group since 2007. The group's been around since the late 1990s when the prior gentleman who was leading the group got a job. He said, who wants to take over? I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been doing this ever since. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area put everything they need to know about their job search in one place. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org. Hard to believe it's almost been 10 years now, and to help those around the United States in their job search. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon for 15 bucks, or if you want to come to the meeting here today, have a donut and you can get a book for $10, or if you want to come meet us at lunch, you can grab a book for $10. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a moment. Well, we'd like to start the meeting off with good news. Is there anybody who on the call who has landed? Any good news that somebody would like to share? Going once, going twice? Okay, well, I know of one landing. Steve Kordak called me this week. He said he's landed at Advnet, A-V-N-E-T, in their Dallas branch. Advent is a $20 billion company, one of the leaders in electronic distribution industry. He has a senior role as an account manager too, calling on the military and aerospace markets in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Thanks again for all of your help during his job transition. I really appreciate you. Regards, Steve. I mean, he called me before he sent me this email, you know, just to thank me and just to, you know, tell me, you know, just, you know, how he landed, what he did and everything. So he'd been out, I think he said around 2 years, and was really, you know, excited when this happened. He wanted to thank Walt and Mark for all their help. You know, he says he bounced a lot of stuff off of Walt and a lot of stuff off of Mark over the last couple of years as far as what he should do and everything. So really, you know, really great news. As far as I know, Steve makes our 19th landing out of this group this year. So I know many more of you will be landing, and we'll make you number 20, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Anybody else, any other good news before we move on? All right, well, what we'd like everybody to do now is please enter your 30-second introductions. Open up the chat window and put in your chat window your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, and then 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. And by doing that, I will copy all this information over. I will get this out into an email this afternoon. I also will use this to update the roster. So if you don't put your contact information in here, I won't know that you were here today. So that way you won't find out about this. So please put your contact information in. For those watching on Facebook right now, If you want to put your information in into the comment field, I will go and delete it immediately after the meeting is over. I'll copy the information over for the roster. So we'll put 30 seconds on the clock. And that's what I gotta work on that. I'm not sure what to do. You know, I bring the roster and I can start, you know, I didn't print a copy off. Didn't expect many people to show up today. Well, good morning. All right. We still have plenty of opportunity and time to go ahead and put your information in there. It'd be great. I was just talking with Walt here. Walt says, well, where am I supposed to sign in at? Because he's here in person. So it's like, well, Walt, I know you're here, so I'll make sure we, you know, we'll get you counted for sure. But it's just another one of those little steps. I've got to figure out how to do this for everybody to eventually come back and join us in person. All right, let's see what's up next. All right, it's time to hear about job, career fairs, training, and workshops. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday to everybody. As Jeff said, I'm Eldon Zarinsky, and I'm here to give you information on career and job fairs and special workshops or events that are coming up in the next few days. This information comes from the calendar tab on the website careerdfw.org, which is on the screen in front of you. The various different colors of those boxes on the calendar represent different categories of events that are happening throughout the DFW area in the coming days, weeks, and months. Again, I focus mostly on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. I do go through these items fairly quickly. So if you hear something that catches your ear, I would urge you to go to that item on the calendar, click on it, and you'll find additional information about the event that you are interested in. All right, having said that, this week's career and job fairs, there are, since this is a holiday week, there's nothing scheduled for the upcoming week in this category. Special workshops or events. Online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, Kurt Vondemutter, or Jeff Morris each week for an online session on LinkedIn. This week's session on May 31st from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. will be presented by our own Jeff Morris. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate in that event. Also online, interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. You can now observe a practice interview from the pit crew each Wednesday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. This week's session is Wednesday, June 1st from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And I'm sure Mark will have a few words to say about that. And finally, online, an effective resume seminar. Join us live on Zoom or Facebook each month on the first and third Thursdays for our effective resume seminar. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that. Will be held Thursday, June 2nd from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And that's it for this week.
Eldon, thank you very, very much. All righty, let's see here. Up next, if you know somebody who's unemployed, somebody who's recently unemployed, somebody who's been unemployed for a long time, please let them know about Career DFW and Career USA, two totally free resources that are out there just to help the job seeker. The websites don't collect any personal information. They're just here to give information and help you in your job search. All right, it's time to hear from about the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark. Mark, you're muted or I can't hear you.
Okay, there we go. I had the microphone turned off on my computer instead of through Zoom. I found another way to fail here. So I was just saying, I think I missed the memo about the donuts that are available if you come face to face.
And here they are. They look really delicious. And in fact, I will have one right now while you're talking.
You guys all know the only reason I run the pit crew is for the donuts, right? Yeah, we like to celebrate, and looking forward to doing celebrations at the pit crew as well, face to face, which I haven't exactly set the date, but you know, Jeff's on the vanguard of figuring out all the technology that needs to work for us to be able to meet face to face and also to broadcast the practice interviews. And so in a week or two or three, we'll get that started up for the pit crew as well on Wednesday afternoons. But in the meantime, we're still doing virtual interviews. So for those of you who haven't heard about the pit crew, we give you a very realistic experience in a practice interview with 3 hiring managers. And when I say that, it's literally all the volunteers for the pit crew, the volunteer interviewers have been hiring managers as part of their professional responsibility. And also all of them have been through or are currently in job transition. So we're a very empathetic group, been in your shoes. I myself was laid off 3 times the last 10 years of my career. And so we come prepared to give you a chance to convince us that you're the right person for the position that you've selected. So it's customized and personalized to you. You provide the job description and of course your resume, and then also where you are in the interview process. Is it an early stage interview or a late stage interview? Is it the final interview? Whatever, you let us know and we'll get prepared for that. You can also practice as many times as you like, and I encourage you to practice early and practice often. And practice early means you don't have to have an opportunity in hand to reach out to the pit crew. Find a job description that looks good to you. Maybe it's close to your dream job description, and just send that in and we'll set up a practice session. And the practice sessions last about 45 minutes, and then there's 20 to 25 minutes of discussion afterwards. So you're going to learn a lot, and you're also going to get to practice interviewing, because knowing is not doing. The experience of getting prepared and actually convincing 3 hiring managers that you're the right person for the job, even in a mock interview environment, is much more valuable than just studying up or practicing on your own. So come and try it out. And the way you do that is you send your information to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say practice early and practice often. So we are trying to get you to the point where you can tell your story well in any interview situation. And that may take more than 1 practice session. So we don't mind. You can practice as many times as you like. I often say the record is 9 interviews in about 13, 14 months. That resulted in a landing. So if you practice 9 times, I got some evidence that you'll land. So come and take advantage of the pit crew. We also offer one-way practice interviews, and these are becoming more popular both on the hiring side and candidates who want to practice one-way interviews. It's an awkward experience, I have to tell you. So if you've never done it, then you really need to practice. And I make it easy. The pit crew is just all about getting you comfortable with these tools. So I give you the questions in advance. There's only 4 of them. The tool gives you 3 minutes to answer each question. There's no repeat, so it's a little, more strenuous, but you can do it over and over and over if you want to. So again, just reach out to me if you'd like to set up one of these one-way interview sessions. Let's see, I think my LinkedIn profile is coming up next. I encourage you to expand your network by adding me to your network and all of my contacts. That'll help you find people inside your target companies. But please do, when you reach out to me, include a note. And all it has to say is we met at the North Dallas Career Focus Group. I'm only adding people to my network who are in job search and have seen me speak or talk about what the pit crew does. So let me know that you've done that and I'll add you to my network. The other thing that I provide, absolutely free. Everything the pit crew does is free. So I also coach on just one topic though. I'm kind of an expert on answering the question, why did you leave your last job? So if that's in any way complicated, even the least bit, let's have a conversation. It's not going to hurt. You're going to benefit from it. And we'll do it on the phone or we'll do it on Zoom. And we'll talk about how to answer that question, and also any follow-up questions that may be generated by your situation. So why did you leave your last job? Coaching available from the pit crew. And then I think finally, I'm always looking for new volunteers to join the pit crew. My volunteers are in job search, they land as well. And so it's a great way to give back if you have a heart for giving. It'll improve your personal interview and your chances of landing as well. You get more out of it than you give, for sure. All the panelists tell me that they've learned so much and gained additional insight into how to prepare for their own personal interviews. Kathy Teeple just landed last week. She was a panelist. So if you'd like to volunteer, I don't require a lot of time. Doesn't matter what you've done, as long as you have that requirement of being a hiring manager. Doesn't matter what technology or industry. Reach out to me and I'll give you some more details. Thanks.
Mark, thank you very much. And I tell you, donut number 1 went down very well. I'm on a little bit of a sugar high here. I'll be practicing donut number 2 here shortly. So I just wanted to let you know that. All right, it's time to hear from Walt Glass for the Interview Success Workshop. Hi, good. Thank you. Not fair. Nonetheless, the donuts are in part 2. One, I am a proxy for next. Doesn't. Right.
Walt, you're kind of breaking up.
Oh,
It's very
you should
difficult
be
to hear
good.
you.
All right. All right. So that's fun. And then second one.
Mine says the cart camera is on mute,
Yeah, it's not working.
so we can't hear him.
Person. And it's great to be here. Wish you all would come down and join us on networking. When you together. So what do I do? Well, I am an interview coach. I help the conference for successful. It's different than the picture. It's not offer what it's the workshop. We call it the interview workshop. And in this process, we're very informal. I'm learning yet that what are we selling? What are companies buying? Well, they're buying 3 things. Back in 2000, after working for 25 years. So I did some research and walks of my own and said, you know what? Really fine. Personality. What we do, activity management, and then how we help. And that is the result. Finding who we are. So companies hire us for the results we can achieve. Yeah. That's what we want to focus on. Informal, and it goes. I have a steroid shot. My voice is shut. I don't know what happened. On Zoom, I generally have it on Tuesdays, times 11, plus others. I had to have you participate. Just send an email to my wall.glass@yahoo.com. Click in my About section on LinkedIn. If you out that particular session, you had a register, send that email to me, and we signed up. I do one people at a time. The emphasis is on learning. Without the stress, anxiety, so I call it learning about learning. I don't have a point today. I don't have my. I can tell you, there is one though. About the interview. So you might be wondering if there are costs. Well, there's not. So wondering what you must pay for the competition. No cost. All right. Well, thank you very, very much. Sorry about the audio issues. Like I said, we're still trying to work some stuff out after this session here. I'm going to be trying a couple new things to see if we can make it work even better. So sorry about the audio issue with Walt's talk. All right. Let's see here. Oh, it's time for the career tip of the week. So Rosanna, good morning, and look forward to hearing from it. You can check the career tip of the week out on the Career DFW and Career USA websites every week. There's a new tip every Saturday afternoon.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. This career tip is dated May the 22nd, and it's 6 job search tips that are so basic, people forget them. So the irony of job search advice, there's so much available that you don't have to spend more than 4 seconds Googling around before you've landed on some nugget of wisdom or another. Yet at the same time, there's so much available. So some of which completely contradicts other advice you'll find. and that can easily overwhelm you, which in fact is probably the exact opposite outcome you're looking for when you're sleuthing around for genuinely useful counsel in this first place. So let's do this. Let's boil things down to a short list of sound, timeless job searching tips that'll help you fine tune your job strategy. And that way you can sail through the process, or at least cut out some of the unnecessary time and frustration. So first, make yourself a smack in the forehead obvious fit. When you apply for a job via an online application process, it's very likely that your resume will first be screened by an applicant tracking system, and then, assuming you make the first cut, move on to human eyeballs. The first human eyeballs that review your resume are often those of lower level HR or a recruiter, who may or may not understand all the nuances of the job that you're applying to. So thus, it behooves you to make it very simple for both the computer and the human to quickly connect their "here's what we're looking for" to your "here's what you can walk through the doors and deliver." So the pro tip would be, study the job description and any available information you have on the position. Are you mirroring the words and phrases in the job description? Are you showcasing your strengths in the areas that seem to be of a paramount importance to this role? Line that up. Second, don't limit yourself to online applications during your job search. You want your job search to last and last. Well, then continue to rely solely on submitting online applications. You want to accelerate that bad boy. I love for people write these articles. Don't stop once you've applied online for that position. Start finding and then endearing yourself to people working at that company of interest. Schedule informational interviews with would-be peers. Approach an internal recruiter and ask a few questions. Get on the radar of the very people who might influence you getting an interview. The pro tip here, by lining up with people on the inside of the companies at which you want to work, you will instantly set yourself apart. Decision makers interview people who come recommended or by the way of a personal referral before they start sorting through the blob of resumes that arrives via the ATS. So third, remember that your resume and LinkedIn profile is not a tattoo. Yes, your new resume is lovely and your LinkedIn profile is breathtaking. However, if they don't position you as a direct match for a particular role that you're gunning for, then don't be afraid to modify wording, switch around keywords or key terms, and swap bullet points in and out. Your resume is not a tattoo, nor is your LinkedIn profile. Treat them as living, breathing documents throughout your job search and career. The pro tip here is, if you're a covert job seeker, remember to turn off your activity broadcasts within your privacy and settings when you make edits to your LinkedIn profile. If your current boss or colleagues are connected to you on LinkedIn, they may get suspicious about all the frequent changes. Fourth, accept that you will never bore anyone into hiring you. Don't get me wrong, you absolutely must come across as polished, articulate, and professional throughout your job search. However, many people translate this into must be boring. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Realize that few people get hired because they had the perfect white space or on their cover letters, or they've memorized all the correct interview questions, or used incredibly safe common phraseology throughout their resumes. All of the correctness is going to make you look staged and non-genuine. Instead, give yourself permission to be both polished and endearing. Memorable, likable candidates are almost always the ones who go the distance. Fifth, if you're not on LinkedIn, you very nearly don't exist. Considering that more than 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn as their primary search tool, this is not an understatement. If you're a professional, you need not only be on LinkedIn, you need to be use it to your full advantage. Don't believe me? Think about it this way. If tomorrow morning a recruiter logs onto LinkedIn looking for someone in your geography with your expertise in what you do, and you're not there, guess who they're going to find and contact? Yes, that person's name is not you. The pro tip here is if you figure out how to harness the power of no other social media tool for job search, figure out how to use LinkedIn. It's by far the best resource we have available today for career and job search networking, for finding people working at companies of interest, and for positioning yourself to be found by a recruiter who has a relevant job opening. And then sixth, your thank you matters. I once placed a candidate into an engineering role with a company that manufactures packaging equipment. He was competing head to head with another engineer who had similar talents and wanted the job just as badly. My candidates sent a thoughtful, non-robotic thank you note to each person with whom he'd interviewed within 2 hours of leaving their offices. The other candidate sent nothing. Guess why my candidate got the job? Yep, the thoughtful, non-robotic thank you notes. They seal the deal for him, especially considering the other frontrunner sent nothing. The pro tip here is consider crafting original, genuine thank you notes for each interviewer the moment you get back to a computer following the interview. The speed of which you send those notes and the quality will make an impact. And finally, remember that the interviewer cares much more about what you can do for them than what you want out of the deal. Certainly, they're going to care a bunch about what you want once you've established your worth. But during the interview, you must demonstrate why you make business sense to hire. So now go forth and show your job search exactly who is boss. Have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend and enjoy everything about this weekend because it's supposed to be fun and beautiful weather.
Rosanna, thank you very, very much. Thank you for reading the tip today.
Not a problem. And
All
Jeff,
right.
I'm so sorry. Real quick, everybody. One of the things I want to also add is this week for me, there were 2 jobs I was about to apply to, literally had it on my screen. And by the time I edited my resume and went to apply, the job had closed. That did not stop me. And I don't want it to stop you either. Just because a job has been quote unquote closed or no longer available, if you have somebody within that company that you can get your resume to, they can literally still walk it through to HR or a hiring manager. So I just want to say, if a job is closed, that really doesn't mean it's closed. Keep trying to get your information in there to someone who can get your information to the recruiter or a hiring authority. All right, that's it.
Thank you very much for that bonus tip.
Not a problem.
Have a good weekend. Thank you.
You too.
All right. If you'd like to join us for lunch today, there'll be some leftover donuts because I'm not going to eat all 12 of them. And Walt's just not wanting to eat any of them. He's just sitting over here avoiding looking. He don't even want to look at the box, but I keep eyeing the box. But if you'd like to come join us today for lunch, we'll be at Jason's Deli, 4801 West Parker in Plano. It's the northeast corner of Parker and Preston. Come join us. They've got a real diverse menu. You can get whatever you'd like to have. A lot of great different items you can have at Jason's today, 12 o'clock. In just a couple of minutes, we'll hear from Don about personal branding. But first, I want to talk about our upcoming sessions. Next Friday, we'll have open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you'd like to talk about. On June 10th is sort of to be announced. I'm still working on a couple things. And on the 17th, stress less, live more while on the job search track. So you can come join us for that topic coming up in a couple of weeks. All right, it's time to hear from Don Nebhan, who's going to talk about personal branding. Don, I'll let you tell people who you are, what you do, and give us all your details. So Don, thank you for being with us this morning.
Well, thanks, Jeff, and thank you all for getting up to listen to an old ball man talk about branding. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some information on branding that you haven't heard before. Jeff, I need to go to a share screen.
Yep, you should be able to do that. Just bottom of your screen, click on share screen, and then share what you want.
We good?
There we go.
How's that?
Looks great.
Okay. Excuse me. As an introduction, I have a background in marketing, classical marketing, print, radio, TV, all that stuff, and in sales with consumer packaged goods companies for about 35 years. So I've seen brands develop over time, and I've seen large companies and how they treat and how their brands sort of evolve and how they change them to keep them up to speed. And there's a lot of synergies and similarities between how a company would do it for a corporate brand versus how we as individuals do it for our personal brand. So that's what I'm going to do in this presentation. I'm going to bring the two together so you can see exactly and understand how companies work on their branding side and then implement that on your personal branding side. So to start, I got to get organized here. To start, you see all these people here. Everybody has a brand. Some of these faces you recognize, I would hope most of them, but they each have a personal brand. They're each of them is unique. And you are your own brand. No one else is like you. You are one of a kind. So that's something that you can leverage in the job search effort. What makes you you? It's your uniqueness, the image that you project, and how well you differentiate yourself from others based on your qualifications and what you bring to the table regarding your brand. And most importantly, that you need to understand that your brand, as you see yourself, may not really be your brand. Your brand is how other people view you, who you are in other people's minds. So in the end, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about going back and getting feedback, direct, honest feedback from people that are close to you to get to see what your brand is all about and how you're perceived. So the agenda today, I'm going to talk about what a brand is, the characteristics of a brand, kind of talk a little bit about the look. We're going to do a little image exercise, and I'm going to ask for some volunteers in that section to give me their opinions. Then we're going to talk about brand messaging. How do you message your brand? And then building your brand. So you see here, we'll start off with these two brands, highly recognizable. Both of them put a lot of money into branding. And McDonald's, you think they'd spend a cajillion dollars. They spend about 2.6 billion a year, I think. Toyota, on the other hand, spends a ridiculous amount worldwide, something like $60 billion. But that's how much they value their brand. Normally in our everyday lives, we spend money for stuff that we need, and as do companies, brick and mortar that a company could spend it on, but they put it all into branding. So that would be like advertising and things like that you don't get an immediate income in sales revenue from initially. But over time, you change and you impact people's minds, and that's where the benefit comes from, and that's why they put so much money into it. So a definition of branding, it's the results from a set of associations and perceptions in people's minds. Branding is an attempt to harness and generate influence and control the association to help a business perform better. So it's about the bottom line and the results. So what does a brand do? It helps bring attention to you. Brands help consumers in a crowded and complex market space by standing out for certain benefits and values. Here in Dallas, I use an example of a variety of grocery stores. all of them going after a different type of consumer, and all of them separate brands. And you all, I don't know, I shop at all of these every week, and I will tell you that the product mix that they carry, Fiesta is an example. It's like a party when you go there. They always have activities on the weekend. Most of their shoppers that shop there shop in family units versus Costco or Tom Thumb or Kroger, where you'll see individuals who are in charge of groceries at home. Individuals will be shopping. So there's a lot of differences in how these companies position themselves and their brand and who they target and how they target them. Here's an example of the amount of money that is going into advertising. Advertising is what supports the brand. In your case, advertising is how you network, your printed materials, how you interact with people, your image, your style, etc. So all that builds into your personal advertising. But this is how important advertising is to these companies. These are the top 10. So if you look and try to draw synergies or similarities between the corporate and the personal brand, both of them look to create uniqueness, to separate themselves from the herd. Both of them seek to create an image. Both of them seek to differentiate themselves from their competitors. And in your case, as a job seeker, your competitors are obviously other job seekers, right? Over time, they want to establish a level of credibility, qualities, and satisfaction in the consumer's mind. And what you're doing is this exact same thing, but you're doing it in the mind of the people that you come in contact with, whether it's at a networking group or at an interview or whatever. You're creating an image in a person's mind the minute you walk out your front door. The part of brand value is something that they call goodwill. So when a company acquires another company, they pay for the brick and the mortar and all that stuff, computers, but they also pay for goodwill. It's the value of a company's brand name. That's what goodwill is. And when there's a sale like that or an acquisition, that goodwill number can be surprisingly high, in the billions and billions for some larger companies. So goodwill, what does goodwill include? In the case of a company, it includes patents, trademarks, future sales, brand recognition, the culture of the company. All that turns into goodwill. The tangible book value includes real brick and mortar, basically the real estate, the inventory, and sales that you have booked, pretty much. Okay. So brand value and goodwill for the job seekers will, for a company will include intellectual property, your customer base, your brand name, employee relations, trademarks, copyrights, future sales. You can read the list. In the case of an individual, your education, your skills, your accomplishments, your energy, your passion, how you articulate a concept, how you approach problems, your leadership, your success stories, your personality, the confidence, the quiet confidence that you exude, your image, your style, all of these build into what we call goodwill, or help you enhance your personal brand. So the value of an individual's brand, including image, people skills, etc., those are the intangible assets. Those go way above the educational, your accomplishments, that sort of thing. These are the intangible assets that add the extra that will set you apart from your competitors. So when you compare the two, uniqueness, image, differentiation, and what is in the mind of the customer, they line up pretty much identical. So if you look at it like a company would look at how they would brand a product, that's how you need to go after branding yourself. And it also has to do with fit. You might have a great brand, but the cultural fit of the company that you're applying for doesn't align with that brand. So here you have an individual applying for a job, a snowman, and the job he's applying for as a sauna manager. Probably not a long-term gig for that snowman, right? So you have to make sure that you fit the culture also of the company that you're talking to. That requires research into the company to figure out what that culture is. You don't want to leave it to the interview. You want to do some networking, work on LinkedIn, whatever, find people that work there, but get a good feel for the culture of the company before you put the effort and the time in. Now, brands versus qualifications. You can have, this is Herb Kelleher from Southwest Airlines. And he stated, and I thought this was pretty powerful, we'll hire someone with less experience, less education, and less expertise than someone who has more of these things and a rotten attitude. We can train people, we can teach people how to lead, we can teach people how to provide customer service, but we can't change their DNA. So the DNA cannot be changed. Your brand is not changed by where you work or the company you work for. That is something that you change and you own and you manage over the course of your career. Southwest, in this case, they're very, very aware of their brand, and they have a culture that is very, very unique to Southwest. I know of the time that I flown every airline out there, and I remember getting on a Southwest flight. Always left on time. I'd be standing, putting my bag in the overhead. Sometimes they're pulling away from the gate. One day I'm getting on the plane and most of the overheads were full. I found one, and so I'm looking for a place to put my bag. I push the button, open the overhead, and out pops about a 5-foot tall flight attendant that had climbed into the overhead and just said, "Surprise," and cracked up the whole airplane. So that's the culture that Southwest wants. They want to be fun and effective in that they're on time and they're a value for their customers, for their clientele. Here's a couple other examples of branding. The value of branding. Why should I worry about branding? Well, companies worry about it for a very obvious reason. Here you have two brands of butter. One's a national brand and one's a private label. Which one do you think in your mind carries a higher quality product? Well, the top brand, Land O'Lakes, carries about 25 to 30% market share, which is huge in the food business because it's highly competitive. The Great Value brand, which is Walmart's private label, carries a decent share within Walmart. But nationally, they're not a major player. A lot of people will go to the national brand because they think qualitatively it's superior. I will tell you that Land O'Lakes makes Great Value butter, and that there's a federal standard of identity for what butter is, a certain amount of fat and salt and et cetera. And that federal standard of identity, you cannot change. You have to produce that product. So the two products are identical. Yet the Land O'Lakes product, you will pay probably $1 to $2 a package more for that product than you will the Great Value butter. And people still buy the Land O'Lakes butter aggressively because they have confidence in that brand that their chocolate chip cookies or cakes or whatever they're making at the holidays will come out the way they want. So it's a matter of confidence in the brand. And that brand has been built over about 80, 90 years. The reason they can get more, as your brand strength increases, so does the price point that you can get for that product. Likewise, in the case of a candidate for a position, if you've established yourself as a strong brand that fits the culture, et cetera, you will get more, your compensation will be higher than someone else who maybe doesn't have as strong a brand image. So there's some financial rewards to working on your personal brand as well. Here we have two separate airlines, and this is where it gets a little sticky. Both of them go to the same cities. Both of them have big airplanes that you get on. One of them, the image for American is probably more professional, very maybe even stodgy, frequently not on time. but broad reach, and that they have flights that go all over the world and a lot of options for flights. Southwest, on the other hand, fun airline to travel, quick, short trips, and get you there on time. As individuals, we have personal branding too. Here you have 3 individuals. You all probably recognize them, I hope, but they built their own brands over time. Here's 4 individuals that you may or you may not recognize. Probably Warren Buffett on the bottom, you might recognize. Can I ask some help here, Mark, or you're on the line? Of these 4, would you hang out with these 4 people? Just looking at them? Mark McDonald? Anyone else? Okay.
Well, the 2 women are attractive women, and you know, one's dressed as probably as space person, so they're have credibility. They have the flag and everything behind them, and so it shows patriotism.
Yeah. So you would hang around with, I mean, you would not have a problem having coffee with these 4 people, right?
No.
Okay. So these four individuals, and I'm doing this because although branding and dress, and we're going to talk about dress, is important, you can't always judge a book by its cover, and that's why you go through the interview process. I will tell you that the 2 individuals on the left are serial killers, and they're doing well. Ted Bundy on the top is no longer with us. The young lady on the lower left is in prison. They're both serial killers. So you wouldn't really want to have coffee and break bread with them, I would think, right? But
Yeah, no.
from an appearance standpoint, they look pretty reputable, right? So you go about, I listed a bunch of attributes there on the right. You go down about 2/3 of the way and you see your tribe. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you are who you associate with. So you don't want to be seen with serial killers. You're not going to be hired probably, okay? That's kind of an extreme message, but just be aware of who you associate with too, because you're judged not only by you and your attributes, but by the company that you keep. Really, your brand is all the things I've talked about, but most importantly, it's what people say about you when you're not around, when you're not in the room. So it's the impression that you've made on them. When you're interviewing, they dig into that. So this is kind of a wheel that I've seen used for interviewing. You go to the top part, the attributes, and that's probably the first part of the interview where you're going through your resume and your accomplishments and your education. Then you go down to the standards, and in answering questions and giving examples, you tell them how you do, how did you achieve that? And in doing that, you talk through your accomplishments, the quality of your experience, and you're starting to segregate yourself from your competitors in that interview process. Then you get into the yellow side and you get into your interpersonal skills, your personality, your nonverbal communication, your body language, how you think about stuff, how you process a concept, and how you solve problems. By then, they pretty much decided, hey, this person is a pretty good cultural fit. And we move up to the green area. And they have a good feel for what they can expect from you as far as your behavior, your actions, your abilities, and how well you fit within the organization's culture. So this is kind of the thought process that's gone through in interviewing, and how your brand impacts especially the standards and the style part of this wheel. It impacts all of it, but especially the standards and the style part. Now let's talk about brand characteristics and messaging. Your brand has to be distinctive, relevant, and you have to be consistent. I always tell everybody that as soon as you walk out the front door when you're in job search, it's game on. You have to look and act the part. I don't care, 7 days a week. You don't have to wear a suit and tie all 7 days. Excuse me. But you have to be consistently project a consistent image throughout the week and with everyone that you come in contact with, because that consistency is how you build the brand. here's some brands that have been developed over a long period of time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but they've spent probably years developing these logos, and they all have a message behind them. Adidas, the mountain climbing of accomplishment is working out. FedEx, the arrow between the E and the X. Baskin Robbins is pushing the variety. They have 31 flavors. And Amazon, the gold arrow, everything from A to Z. Now, I'd ask you guys to unmute, and I'd like some input. How about Scott Boudreau, are you on? Kevin?
David
Okay.
just unmuted his mic.
Who did?
David?
Yeah, I'm
here.
here.
Okay, Kevin, you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I've got 3 logos that are pretty recognizable. Give me 3 one-word adjectives that describe the fellow with the red hair.
Fun. I don't know, I'd say fun, happy. I don't know. I don't
Kids,
know.
maybe? Okay, how about the other one, Denny's?
Denny's 24-hour standard stability. I don't know, just expectations.
Okay. Now, there is no right or wrong answer here. I'll tell you, when I look at these, I see on the McDonald's logo, I see obviously fun, kids, low cost, and hamburgers and fries, basically. Denny's, I see 24 hours, breakfast, and low cost. And Taco Bell, I see is usually 24 hours, not very good Mexican food, but cheap. And, or not, I shouldn't say cheap, low
quality.
cost. How's that?
Boy.
Okay, you can do the same thing with these car brand or vehicle brands. Chevrolet, probably utilitarian, dependable, affordable. Ferrari, fast, sexy, sports car. And Mac, powerful, quality trucks. Okay, so those are the images that those brands have put into my mind. Each of you might have something similar or might have something different, but they've established images in each one of our minds. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the look. When promoting your brand, you have to look the part as well. So that includes weekends, and when you're at an interview or going to a networking group, you dress appropriately for each brand. So everything you do and everything you choose not to do communicates the value of your brand. Here's an individual applying for a job. Obviously, he's not dressed appropriately. The culture requires a tie, evidently, at this office. I remember interviewing I had a group of automotive shops that was reporting me for a while, and we required our technicians to wear jeans, a golf shirt, and tennis shoes, and the golf shirt had our logo on. And so we had to hire some folks, and an employee sent in one of their friends to apply for the job. And the guy walks in. I'd interviewed 2 other people prior, and they kind of fit the mold dress-wise and did pretty well. This third individual came in feeling that they had it down because they had an employee referral, which is usually a very good thing to do in job search. So he came in with a long hair that was messed up, an AC/DC t-shirt that was dirty, shorts, and flip-flops, and expected to get a job. Well, he didn't exactly fit the culture, right? So as soon as he walked in the door, in our minds, he was eliminated from the program. So your dress does impact what you do from time to time. Now, I know none of you all would go to that extreme. I'm just using that as an extreme example so you understand where I'm coming from. So personal branding is the ongoing process of establishing an image or an impression in the mind of others about an individual, group, or organization. Here are these 4 individuals. You can tell pretty much exactly what they do for a living, right? So you know they're all working, they all have careers, and they're moving forward, and they're pushing their brand image. I've included this. I'm not going to read through it all. We'll provide this presentation to you. So if you're interested, you can have it. But I found this a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it does a very good job of helping both men and women set the standard for what a dress would be in a formal business setting. And then I also did it for a casual business setting. So I encourage you, it tells you the colors to wear and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. But the casual look is what you would wear on a Saturday or Sunday, even when you go out. And this is probably a little bit even too strict. I mean, if you wear jeans and penny loafers and a golf shirt, you're fine as a guy going out on the weekend. But much less than that. And if you're in job search mode, you probably want to avoid anything else. So let's do a quick image exercise. I need another volunteer. Anyone?
Say
Okay.
Colin Powell, Patriot, and Mother Teresa, humanitarian.
Yeah. Okay. No, there's two great things that they put on your brand attributes they put in your mind. In my mind, I'd say leader, patriot, and I don't know. I've had breakfast with him. He's just very impressive. Mother Teresa, humanitarian. You can put 2 or 3 other adjectives after her as well. How about these two? Kevin, you may not know one of these.
Well, Gaga, Lady Gaga's on the right.
Wow, you surprised me.
Well, I'm really up with things, you got
Good.
And the other one's a singer, forget her name right now. But
Taylor Swift.
yeah.
Okay. So both of them have different brands and different styles. Lady Gaga is known for her outrageous outfits. Both of them highly talented. Both of them have kept their careers pretty clean. You don't see a lot of problems in their careers. How about these two guys?
Jeff Bezos and
LeBron James.
LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Both, again, leaders, both entrepreneurs. One's an athlete, one's a businessman, but they both have established brands. You may or may not like one or the other, but both of them have very clear, well-defined brands that they projected to the public. Here you have a group of individuals. You'll recognize everyone here. Each one of them has a distinctive brand. You will never see them out of character, so to speak. You also have to be relevant with your brand. You have to bring something to the party when you're talking to people about an issue or a topic that you have expertise in. That relevance has to be brought out and put on the table. That's part of your brand. And you have to be consistent. Here you have Cher. You at first glance you'd say, well, wow, she looks different everywhere. Well, she has a different costume on, but the difference is consistent. She's consistently different in her costuming, and that's part of her brand image. At every concert you go to, you're going to wonder, what is she going to come out on stage wearing? Okay, so this is being consistently inconsistent can also be part of your brand makeup. Now I want to talk about messaging. Would you buy a financial instrument from either one of these guys?
No way.
Probably not, right? And that's just by the visual image that they put out. So your visual image is important. This is more along the lines of what we want in a business environment for your brand, as far as your image of your clothing, etc. Now we talk about branding. Can you manage your brand? Can your brand change over time? The answer is absolutely. Here's 2 athletes. Michael Jordan, who you all probably recognize on the right, has done an excellent job with his brand. He's been very consistent. He's not gotten in any trouble or anything. The other individual, Michael Vick, had the same program going, very great career, but then he got involved in this and he had to do some time, ruined his career, came back for a while, but didn't really set the world on fire, and you don't really hear a lot about him anymore. But you still see Michael Jordan on TV a lot on commercials and stuff. His brand equity has only grown, and he hasn't touched a basketball in probably 15, 20 years. This individual, Lindsay Lohan, great actress, until she got in trouble. And she ruined her brand and never came back. But you have a guy like this, Tiger Woods, had a great brand going. Everybody wanted to emulate him on the golf course. And then he got in some trouble, some personal trouble and some substance abuse issues, et cetera. And he dropped out of the limelight in the public eye for about 9 or 10 years. But at age 43, in 2019, he had readjusted his brand, and now he's back on the tour. In 2019, he won his 5th green jacket, and it had been 14 years since his last win because of the trouble he got into. But today, his brand probably not as strong and well thought of as it had been, but it's well on the way to recovery. And Tiger, I think, is on his way back. And as we as individuals adjust and review our brands, we can adjust our brands as well. So the attributes, you want to exude quiet confidence. When you talk to an individual, you want the conversation to be 50-50 as much as possible. You don't want to give too much information. You want to give enough to create interest. You want to be able to articulate concepts succinctly and get to the point. And you want to be polished, observe etiquette. You want to come off as a subject matter expert, and you want to convey concepts through stories. Use humor if you're good at it. If you're not good at it, don't do it. But humor used, sprinkled in from time to time. I use sarcasm myself, and I get a chuckle out of it every now and then. But you want to use it selectively and in a very limited basis, but it helps communicate your confidence. You don't come off nervous and all stressed out. Some of the things you don't want to do, you don't want to fidget or dominate a conversation. You don't want to oversell yourself and give every detail of your life going back to high school or grade school or whatever. Don't play with your hair or click a pen. Don't understand etiquette. Don't assume they know everything. Do not ever get into a discussion on politics or religion in any situation, because you don't know the people in the room where they stand, and they may just be so committed to however they feel that they're trying to get you to commit to one side or the other so they can eliminate you from consideration if you're on the other. So avoid politics and religion at all costs. Make sure your clothes are pressed and right, and your hair's done, shoes shine, etc. And be prepared. These 6 items are what I consider to be part of your advertising or your point of sale program, or what a company would use as a coupon program or a TV commercial or an ad. These items are what help establish your brand when you're not around. The things that you leave with people. We don't have time to cover everything, so I'm just going to touch on social media and business cards real quick. Social media, obviously, very important. You have to be involved with it. LinkedIn is number 1, of course. But this is how many people around the world are using social media. If you're not on social media, you're not on job search. Right now, there's over 4 billion people around the world that are involved in it. Most of them are using Facebook. And you go to companies and you ask corporate organizations what they use, they also use Facebook. So where should you be? You should probably be on Facebook, right? So Facebook, I recommend that people look at Facebook and LinkedIn as their top 2, and then Instagram and Twitter. The others kind of fall off by the side, but if you can get on those 4 and do them effectively and keep adjusting them so you're top of mind and participate in them, they'll help you. And why do companies use social media? Well, because it increases brand awareness, and that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to increase your brand awareness. So social media is critical for companies. Likewise, it's critical for us when we're in job search. This demonstrates the preferred sites for networking. Obviously, LinkedIn for job search is number one. So now I want to talk quickly about business cards, because when we're handing out cards, you know, as a job seeker, you have to have cards with you at all times. So they tell you their purpose is solely to tell who you are, what you do, and how you can be reached. Okay, so that's what they need to do. They're to communicate, qualify, and allow the person that you've given it to follow up. So there's some rules around business cards. We're going to look at a couple, but here's some of the rules. Only one phone number, not three. I recommend your cell phone, and you got to answer it. Nickname, put it in quotations. I'm sorry. Yeah, in quotations, not in parentheses. And if you have a title or degree, fine, put a comma and put your title or degree on there if it's, you know, appropriate. Let's see. So business cards have options. You can put graphics, you can put a picture, you can pick colors, you can put a tagline, and you can put your website on them as well. There's some caution to use in each one of those. You have larger font for your name. The pluses and the minuses tell you what you don't want to do. The pluses tell you what you do want. White space is your friend on resumes and business cards. So this, again, I'm not going to read all this to you. This will be in the notes that you get. Here's a business card that I got. I actually got this at one of the networking groups. And this gentleman was looking for a sales job. And this was his business card. And it, you know, it's just wrong. They're, you know, I yellowed out to protect the innocent here, but putting on multicultural, fluent in French and education, that belongs in a resume, not on a business card. By this time, you've met someone, you've given them your background, they want to know how to reach you. It does not say anything about sales on here, and that's the type position they were looking for. This is another card that I got from an individual, and it's got 3 phone numbers on it. Well, if I'm an HR person and I want to call you in for an interview, what number do I call? Because I'm not going to make 3 phone calls looking for you. I'm going to make 1 phone call. And if I don't find you in that 1 phone call, I've got a stack of 300 resumes here on my desk, and I'll go down to the next one on the stack. So 1 cell phone number is critical. What else does he have on here? He's got his LinkedIn. Okay, this one has a lot of graphics on it that detract from the message. The message is, how do I reach you? All the graphics in the center just detract. Your eye go, where does your eye go when you look at this card? The black section below. So that's good that he has his contact information there, but he's got a whole business card to work with. So the varied graphics, it's cute, etc., but not very appropriate for a business card for a job seeker. Here's another one. It's very similar. There's no LinkedIn address on here, no website address. And it does say Plano, Texas, I guess, that you can reach them that way, and it only has 1 phone number. So experienced, technical, professional was the title that he had on his card that he was looking for. Well, experience is an unnecessary word. Technical, professional, it still doesn't really flush out for me what he's looking for or what he does. If you're looking for a job and you want to get paid a salary, you're a professional. So you don't need to restate that. That's an extra word. Experience, so that leaves technical. So he needs to flush that out a little bit more. Technical sales, technical product management, whatever it is, he needs to put that in there instead of the words experience and professional. Here's another one that's junked up with graphics. This is a business analyst, and it looks like it should belong to a banker. It looks like a banknote of some sort. So the graphics, again, detract from what the card is supposed to be doing. This is another card that, first of all, it's vertical, which is very different. It's unique, nothing wrong with it. except that the back is totally, the card was laminated. The part on the left is the back of the card. I wanted you to see that. Normally, I tell people to make sure you use flat stock paper for your business cards so that the individual you're talking to can make notes on the back of the business card when you're introduced to them. If you're at a networking event, you're meeting a lot of people and it's easy to get confused. So I always take notes on the back of business cards, and I know a lot of people that do. So you don't want to laminate the back of a card. And a lot of the stuff in here doesn't help. You've got to dumb it down, because if you're in IT as an example, I'm not an IT person, and you put all these IT acronyms in there, I'm not going to understand what it is you do. So just make it simple. IT sales or IT customer support. That's what this individual did. And there's a lot of fluff in this that takes away from the card. Remember, white space on a business, in this case, black space on a business card is your friend. You want your eyes drawn to what the copy. If you have too much copy, too much stuff on your card, your eyes are just going to be confused. You want to draw it to your name, and you use bold and the font size to do that. This is a great business card, so I left his name up there. It does have some graphics on it, but they're minimal. And it tells exactly what he does, some of the stuff that's involved in what he does, and how he can be reached. And that's all it has to be. And this is a stock card, I believe, from Vistaprint. Here's another good card. Polly tells what she's looking for, what she does, and how to reach it. That's all you need on your card. Okay, that serves the purpose of the card. So building your brand takes an intention and actions, plus the impressions that you make on people to deliver your brand. So the best way to get started is to ask for some honest, direct, solid feedback. And I always say, go to your spouse or a very close friend, or someone maybe that you've worked with, maybe a supervisor that you've worked with in the past that you have a good enough relationship with. But ask them, if you were going to describe me, how would you describe me? And don't be afraid for the negatives. I want to know what I do that's irritating or not good or doesn't enhance my brand. And ask the question, because you're not going to be able to adjust and build your brand until you've got your arms around what the shortfalls are. So this is a lot of the stuff that goes into building your brand, your habitual approaches, your emotional expression, etc. So here's the keys that I define for your brand. You got to define it, first of all, and I would sit down and put it on a sheet of paper. You know, what are the descriptors that you want people to use when they're describing you to a prospective employer? Because as you meet people while you're networking and job searching and handing out business cards, you're going to impress some people, and they're going to become your advocates as you go out to look for your job. So when you define your brand, you've got to be able to communicate it very effectively. So know what you want to be and how you want to be perceived. Be proud of your leadership. Establish a brand promise. So that means consistency. If you're consistent in how you think, how you talk, how you act, that's your brand promise. So set yourself apart. So as far as personal branding goes, you're setting yourself apart if you do it right, and you'll get noticed, and hopefully you'll fit the culture and get the job up front. So thank you for listening to Personal Branding. Much of what I talked to is out of this book. If you're interested, I would encourage you to pick it up. And good luck in job search. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding branding or networking or job search in any way. Thank you.
Ron, thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to unmute your mic, questions or comment. Unmute your mic and let us know. Questions, comments?
Don, I have a question. When you forward a resume, I talked to a recruiter just a half hour ago, and she she scanned my resume and she didn't pick up a lot of things that are in there. And I was doing a functional resume and I mentioned the company in every bullet point, but she didn't pull it up. Her issue was I should have meat at the bottom of the page where the companies are mentioned. Because the question is, get yourself really, it seems like she's programmed to look in a certain place for the information. And if it's not there, she gets confused and she writes it off. So question is to get really noticed and to really project your brand to the reader of a resume that you've never met. What do you think is the best and most important thing to have in that resume?
Well,
and the format?
Well, I understand the need from time to time for a functional resume, but I'm not a big fan of the functional resume because most of the resumes and is the lady that's the recruiter, is she on? Because she would know the answer to this. I think most recruiters, most HR people, and most hiring managers want to look for a resume, what do they call it? A chronologic resume, that tells what you did when. That gives them a bit, I think they see more of those. So those are the ones that they're more adept at reading and understanding. I think in my life, I have received, and I've seen a lot of resumes over the years. I've probably seen maybe 5 or 10 functional resumes. All the hundreds of others have been chronological. So I would suggest you might think about switching to a chronological and then getting with somebody who can help you with wording it and designing it to help make it succinct and all that stuff. The other thing I think you need to do, or anybody needs to do, is make sure the copy, the font that you use on your resume is the same font you use on your business card and your printed materials. That's part of your brand. If you use colors, if you have a color scheme or design on your business card, you should do something like that on your resume. I personally have no color on my card. My card is very simple. My name is on it in bold, and then in a lowercase font, I have my contact information and what I do. And that's it. On the resume, it's the same font and it's the same color stock paper that I use. And I play around when I lay out, I bold the companies that I work for, and I bold the titles that I held within those companies. And that makes it easier for them to say, okay, here on these years, this person held this role. And they can either see a progression of titles within a company very easily versus a functional resume.
Okay, thank you. That's great feedback. I appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions from anybody?
This is David from Atlanta. A great presentation. Is it possible to get these slides?
Yes, I'll be, Jeff, if I send them to you, you can send them out? Does that work?
Yes, if you send them to me, I will then, everybody who's put their contact information in the chat window so that I know you're with us today, I will be sure to get it out this afternoon when I put out my email with everybody's 30-second information.
I would just ask that you guys use it for your own use and not disseminate it throughout the world, please.
Very good. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments? Well, Don, thank you very much for your time. Great presentation, great information, a lot of really good information there. So Don, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Jeff. I have taken this PowerPoint. I put this together, and it's not exactly what I want. So I actually got it back at 3 o'clock this morning. I paid a professional to redo it all, and it's going to look better next time, guys. but they've tightened it up a lot. I just need to go through it and make sure everything's like I want it.
Right. Well,
But next
Don,
time it'll be a little bit smoother.
Don, thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Have good luck.
Thank you. I just want to share a few last things and we'll get out of here today. Oops, let's see here. Get back up so I can see what I'm doing. Next Friday, we'll have open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So bring your interview questions, bring your resume questions, bring any kind of question you have about your job search. Everybody on the calls, can jump in and offer their opinions and suggestions. So next Friday morning, we'll have open forum as we do the first Friday of every month. If you have not put the 30-second introductions into the chat window, please do so I know you're with us. And by doing that, I'll be sure to get you Don's contact information along with the presentation he gave today when he sends it to me. So I'll put in your name, phone number, email address, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies. Then when you get that list this afternoon, please look it over. I know it's a holiday weekend, but take a few minutes, look it over, see if you have any way that you can help somebody else who's on that list. This Friday, or Career FW and Career USA, just FYI, today was the 500th and first, so 501 workshop that Career FW's put on since COVID started. So we put on sessions 4 days a week. Please join us next Tuesday. LinkedIn, present yourself like a pro with me, being that there's 5 Tuesdays in the month of May. I said, I'll take the 5th Friday, the 5th Tuesday, and talk about LinkedIn. This is a presentation I gave a national conference a couple months ago. This Wednesday, you'll be able to see the practice interview team do an actual practice interview. If you'd like to schedule your own practice interview, please go to dallaspitcrew.com and get all the information on how you can do that there. This Thursday, being the first Thursday of the month, we'll talk about resumes, about effective resumes. The session has been recorded. It will be on the Career FW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, it looks like this. You can click on playlist, and then down below, be sure to click on view full playlist at the very bottom. We see the red arrow, and up will come a list of all the different titles and dates and topics that you can find the video that you'd like to go back and watch. Hopefully you'll come join us today at Jason's Deli, 4801 West Parker, northeast corner of Parker and Preston. We'll be there today at 12 o'clock, so please come join us then. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Have a great holiday weekend. Hopefully, if you're traveling, drive safe. And for everybody else, enjoy the nice weather this weekend.